Good afternoon. My name is Alena Shautsova. I am an immigration attorney from Brooklyn, New York. In today's Legally Speaking seminar, I would like to talk to you about what happens if you, your family member, or somebody you know, your friend, is detained in the airport. This is a video about those who are coming to the United States on non-immigrant visas. Because if the person is coming on an immigrant visa, or they already have a green card and they're stopped in the airport, the analysis and the reasons for the stop and what to do will be different. So let's say you have a non-immigrant visa. Usually it's a B visa, tourist visa, or visitor for business or pleasure. And perhaps you have used this visa before, or maybe it's your first time coming to the United States. But this time you were stopped by the CBP officer, and you're told that previously you were working in the United States, or now you're trying to engage in something related to work or something. The usual reason is that you are trying to be an immigrant and you possess only non-immigrant visa, something like that. So what happens? Well, usually the officer will ask you questions about the purpose of your visit. Sometimes they ask you to review your phone, and if they have any reason to believe that you're going to engage in violation of your status, previously you violated your status, you will be denied entry into the United States. And what happened next is very important. So you were told that you were denied entry into the United States. At this point, you have several options. Option number one: if you believe that you have a valid asylum claim and you cannot go back to your country because you have a fear of being persecuted in your home country, you need to request asylum in the United States. And this will stop the process of physical deportation, and the government will give you an opportunity to present first what's called, you will testify for your credible fear interview, initial determination whether or not in fact you may qualify for asylum. So you will be detained during that time. You have to understand that, but the government will give you an opportunity to present your initial asylum claim. It's called credible fear interview. After that, what happens is that if you did establish that you have a credible fear interview, the government will decide. First, it's a prosecutor's office, or ICE, will decide if you are qualifying for bond, and they will set the amount of bond to be determined. Or if they say that no bond should be set in your case, or the bond is too high, you will have an opportunity to go in front of an immigration judge and request the judge to reconsider the bond determination. It's either the bond was too high, let's say it's $25,000, you do not have this money, or that no bond was recommended in your case, and you would like the judge to set the bond amount for you so you can be free from detention and wait for your immigration court hearing in the United States without being physically detained. So that's what happens if you have asylum claim. If you do not have asylum claim, you have two options, and you need to decide if you would like to use one of them, and it's the officer's discretion whether or not to allow you to do what I'm going to tell you right now to do, but usually they will allow you to do it if you insist on that. So what happens if you don't have asylum claim and you're clearly deportable, or the officers at least think that you're deportable? They will issue an order of deportation against you, and that order will prohibit you from coming back to the United States for 5 years. So to try to avoid that, you need to ask them to give you an opportunity to withdraw your request for admission. Basically, you're going to tell them, all right, I don't want to come to the United States anymore. I will depart myself. Just don't give me that order of deportation. And this will save you from having that order of deportation. Because if you have the order of deportation against you, even if you will qualify later for an immigrant visa, like let's say spouse will sponsor you, or your time to be sponsored by some other family member comes, and you need to go for a visa interview, but you have this order of deportation, you will not be able to enter without a waiver. So it's very important to know that you can request to withdraw your admission and depart the United States, so you will not be deported. deported. You will not be deported on paper. And of course, the worst case scenario is that you are deported on paper. There will be an order of deportation against you with a prohibition to come to the United States for 5 years. And usually what happens is that you are detained for some time, for not long time, like a couple of days, usually a couple of nights, and then the officers are going to place you on an airplane and they will force you to depart the United States with that order of deportation. So that's what happens when you are stopped and you have a non-immigrant visa. So of course it's preferable if you try to contact a lawyer, or you will contact a family member, friend here, because what happens is that everything happens very fast, and most of the time you're detained and you don't really have ability to exercise any of your rights, because in this type of situation you don't really have a right to see a judge, okay, unless you're asking for asylum, and then a whole different story. So it's good if you are prepared ahead of time and you have a backup plan as to what's going to happen if you are facing these circumstances in the airport. So I hope this video was helpful, and you can read more information on our website www.shautsova.com. Thank you.